GM, GA, GE, wherever you may be. Today on the Lucky Trader Lounge, we have Aavegotchi. If you've never heard of them before, they've been around for a little while, last couple of years in NFT space. And coming up at the end of March, they are going to be dropping the Gotchiverse and then what they're calling a play drop. So listen in. If you enjoy this content, like the video. And let's get at it. Welcome. Today, as mentioned, we have Jesse from Aavegotchi, and you just saw the trailer for what's upcoming, so we'll get to that later. But at first, let's start with Jesse and how Aavegotchi, how they started, where you guys began. Now you're at this point where moving forward, and we'll get to that as well. So let us know, how did Aavegotchi begin?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, and just super excited to share what we are doing with the Gotchiverse. That's kind of what you just saw a preview of there with the cinematic trailer. But our background, yeah, we've been kind of OGs in the NFT space since, let's see, the Aavegotchi project started like summer of 2020. And even prior to that, myself and my co-founder were working on some of the earliest NFT projects, like, for example, BullionX and Mintable.app. So I helped co-found that back in like 2019. So we've been in the space working on the different ways you can get utility into NFTs and gamify your NFTs. One example was like with BullionX, you actually were able to take an NFT and connect, deposit ERC20 tokens into that specific NFT. So they're like hardwired by smart contract. So in that case, they were gold stablecoins. And I thought they were really boring. We said, what if you take those and you wrap them in a one-of-one super rare 3D gold coin that was made by a crypto artist? So we have like OG crypto art that's wrapped literally around gold. Wow. And so that was kind of our starting point. You can still check that out at bullionx.io. But really, that was more like I don't want to say it was the first iteration, but it really was. We took what we learned there and what we could do with smart contracts to add utility to NFTs. And what the end result was, let's make Aavegotchi. And so instead of staking these stable coins of gold, we were actually going to Aave, the big blue chip DeFi platform, and saying, we want to bring DeFi to NFTs. At the time, nobody had done anything like that. And our iteration of that was, let's take the Aave tokens that earn interest natively in your wallet. Like, you don't have to push a button. Yesterday, you had 1,000 A-Link. Tomorrow, you have 1,001 A-Link. They just naturally accrue in your wallet. Let's put those inside an NFT so that it's literally like, at the very base level, your Aavegotchi is a digital piggy bank for interest generating, with an interest rate better than your bank. So that kind of thing. So that's the origin story and where we started way back, like I say, early 2020. We ended up bringing the project forward to the community, to the space. We had already made a lot of friends in the space, and at that time it was very small and everybody knew everybody. So it's like, look, we're going to launch it via a bonding curve, which is basically a fancy word for a way to do a fair distribution of a token. So this was like our Kickstarter, completely on chain. And if you wanted to be a part of it, it was just like going to Uniswap. You could do a swap, but the only swap was DAI stablecoins for this new GHST Ghost token. And we call it Ghost, but spelled GHST. And so that's our eco governance token for the whole project. It's literally been there since day one, prior to the Aavegotchi NFTs, pretty much prior to everything except maybe a little legal ink with a lawyer. So that was where it really started back in, I think that bonding curve launched September of 2020, and it launched at like 20 cents, something like that. And today, it's floating around $2, and it ebbs and flows, but it's a very special token that powers the ecosystem. It has staking. We've built all sorts of staking contracts around it. And the Aavegotchi ecosystem has evolved to a point where it really is like its own NFT gaming protocol. It's open source, community owned, and everybody is able to build on top of these NFTs and the smart contracts we deployed. So today, we're Pixelcraft Studios. We're building the Gotchiverse. We're maintaining the Aavegotchi.com website. But there are multiple other actors in the space, other developers and teams that are also building Aavegotchi products. One example that's been very successful recently is Gotchi Vault. So this is a group of various people that connected through our Discord. Some of them were already Solidity developers. Some of them learned Solidity and came together with this idea of ways to do basically asset management for your NFTs. And so they're managing like a certain large percent of Aavegotchis now. You can go deposit your Aavegotchi into the Gotchi Vault, and they'll help you get the best, XP rewards, kinship rewards, farming tokens. They basically manage it for you and get you an optimal kind of output of rewards. So it's pretty powerful what kind of products can be built in this kind of open source system. And for Pixelcraft and our part, the next step is building out the Gotchiverse. We grew from a team of originally 2 co-founders, 4 summoners of the DAO, on up to about 40 people now that are employed directly by Pixelcraft. And it's a full-blown gaming studio building out the Gotchiverse. We have ex-Capcom, former World of Warcraft designers. Everybody on the team is just solely focused on getting this completely new product out, which is the Gotchiverse. And the metaverse gets thrown around quite a bit, this idea of like everybody's got a metaverse now. But as we go through the conversation today, I hope you can learn more about what makes the Gotchiverse so special, because the same careful thought we put into our GHST tokenomics or the Aavegotchi NFTs with the DeFi aspects, we're bringing that same kind of energy into what the Gotchiverse should be. And I think you'll be in for a few surprises.
Yeah. And so it's really cool to see like these. I still think we can consider you guys OGs in the space. Like a lot of people who are even going to listen to this didn't know what an NFT was when you guys started. Like most of our users and listeners come from Top Shot starting. I'd say that's generally the time frame that lasts, 2021 February through April is when a lot of people started getting into NFTs and getting into Ethereum NFTs as well. I know, like personally speaking, I learned about Aave last March. And that's when I just learned about Aave and like the protocols over there. So it's definitely something that it sounds crazy, but even 2 years old is really old in this space. One thing that I wanted to ask, because I know you probably get this question all the time, but do you guys have this inspiration from Tamagotchi? Like why Gotchis? Was this something that you just thought maybe transitioned well into NFTs?
Yeah, it was a couple of things. So obviously the name references and pays homage to Tamagotchi because there's a digital pet, right? It's like the original digital pet that everybody recognizes that and responds to it. So we're like thinking, okay, this is an NFT. It's very esoteric. How are we going to explain this to new people in a way they get it right away? And so one idea was, look, it's basically a Tamagotchi on the blockchain, right? It's a crypto pet on the blockchain. And then the Aave part, obviously to reference that so much of that utility is built around integrating with the Aave protocol. And so, it's just Aave plus Tamagotchi. And a little bit more, like one of the cool features besides what I already mentioned is with an Aavegotchi, it has a kinship score. This is one of the really cool traits that is pretty unique to us. We were obsessed with finding a better way to have a crypto pet. Crypto kitties were pretty much the only NFT everybody knew at that time. And
Yeah.
so when you think about crypto kitties, it was like their big thing was the breeding functionality and the genetics, the DNA of two NFTs and minting a third out of the two. But in our case, I held a bunch in my wallet and I just felt like I never interacted with them. I only took them out if I wanted to trade them or maybe explain what an NFT is to somebody. But I was not like interacting with it very frequently. So I was like, they call it a crypto pet. And if that's going to be a whole subgenre, I mean, we got to do better than that, because a pet is something you get attached to and you bond with and you interact with frequently. And so our kinship score was an on-chain way to verify that you actually did interact with your NFT that day. And so every 12 hours, if you go into Aavegotchi.com, so you have water, you go into your dashboard and you find your Aavegotchis, you can actually click a pet button, interact with it. And this is one reason we're on Polygon and not Ethereum, is you have to do an on-chain transaction to prove that. And so it's actually hashed into the blockchain, and you have, voila, a kinship score going up every time you pet your Gotchi. Vice versa, we're actually able to put a clock in there. And if you neglect your Gotchi for a full 24 hours, that kinship score drops by 1. So when a new Gotchi is born, it starts at 50 on kinship score, and then it's pretty neutral. And then it can go all the way to 0, or it can go up to the moon. There's no limit. And so we have a kinship leaderboard. People are waking up at 3 a.m. to get that second pet in and climb the leaderboard. And it's play to earn. You're able to climb that leaderboard. And during what we call rarity farming seasons, if you're on that leaderboard, you're actually getting airdrops of the GHST token. That's one of the 3 leaderboards we have for rarity farming. But kinship's one of my favorite, because it really was like from the very beginning, that was like one of those exciting ideas where we were like, we can program this. We can program this dynamic metadata on chain and deliver a very unique, true crypto pet.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool that obviously you mentioned the Polygon, and you're kind of rewarding people for staying up on things. If you go on every day, if you are able to keep your pet, well, when it came to the Tamagotchi world, I'm not sure if you guys have this exact mechanic, but if you weren't feeding your pet for 3 straight days, the pet would die. Do you guys have that same mechanic on Aavegotchi?
I thought you were going to ask about the pooping.
Oh.
No, the Aavegotchis don't do that either. But if they don't die, what they do is they just go down, down, down towards 0. And their facial expressions actually change. So the next time you log in, it's like staring at you like, bro, you gonna pet me or what? What are we doing here? So it's pretty cool in that sense. And there's actually like not just a score, but like different words that are associated with your score. So it goes from like neglected, upset, concerned, up to like devoted, all the way to like, I don't know what the highest one is actually right now, but it's like true love or something. So yeah, it's really a fun aspect, and people really get attached. I get attached to my Aavegotchis, and you see it expressed in multiple ways, because if, for example, the rarity farming, because it's a piggy bank, when it earns the ghost, it doesn't go to my wallet. The ghost actually gets deposited into the Aavegotchi, into that escrow smart contract. So you have to go and kind of mug your Aavegotchi and be like, give me the money. Yeah. To take it from it. And I always feel bad. I'm like, withdraw the ghost from my Aavegotchi. And, it worked so hard to get it. So there's a lot of jokes like that around the community about just like, these things have a lot of personality.
Yeah. And then I know there's been a lot of talk recently, as you mentioned, you're on Polygon. There's like Cool Cats and CyberKongs, and there was this sunflower project. There have been a few projects that have been coming out on Polygon recently that have really struggled as far as like being able to use what they envision on Polygon. How have you found Polygon to be as far as just working consistently, being too slow for maybe people that are using your product, or have you found it been pretty smooth?
Yeah, it's been absolutely perfect for us. I think part of it reflects on Polygon, and other than, I think like last week, there was a little stability issue there, but it was actually like anticipated. They broadcast that out ahead of time, doing a big upgrade. other than moments like that, which are going to happen on any product that's upgrading, yeah, it's been super smooth. I mean, when we initially launched, that bonding curve for Ghost is still running today. It's a continuous bonding curve. You can go interact with it right now. That is on Ethereum. So in September, when we
Okay.
launched that, that's on layer 1. So all the Ghost tokens get minted on layer 1. But when we realized and confirmed which chain, because we looked at them all, when we realized we're going with Polygon to launch the NFT, I think this was March of 2021. Yeah, losing track of time. Then we had to migrate. A lot of the ghosts need to come over. And the Polygon team was great in supporting us and working with us to get incentives. It had never really been done before at that time, where we had to migrate something like $20 million worth of Ghost over these bridges that most people hadn't worked with bridges yet. This is extremely early days of multi-chain. And we had the incentives in place, the partners in place, quick swap, the main DEX on Polygon was very helpful. And so the incentives were there and people were willing to learn how to do the bridging themselves. And organically, we had thousands of people moving their Ghost over this bridge. So we call that the Great Migration. It went very well. And since then, like, the chain's just been awesome.
Yeah. So would you say I don't want to say got because of the head start, but now as more teams and games are trying to move over to Polygon, do you feel like you're just because you're established, you're in a better place to scale than maybe these other teams that are trying to bring, like if the next two teams are trying to bring $20 million over, are they sort of behind in that sense?
Maybe. I mean, they would definitely need, they can look at our model, but I don't know if those same incentives are there, right? Because it's a different market now. But they have a lot more partners to reach out to. If a certain project were to reach out to us and want to do some sort of campaign to help bridge over, those kind of options are there, where in our case, it was a very short list of people we could talk to about. So there were pluses and minuses, I would say. Every situation has a different challenge. But in our case, it went very well. And you mentioned like Sunflower. They, my understanding, had design side issues with the botting. Like the game got launched and there was so much botting. And so what we're doing with Gotchiverse and Play to Earn is we're being very careful with designing for bots. We're very aware of this from kind of our walk before we run Play to Earn with the rarity farming, the leaderboards. And so there's a certain type of responsibility on the dev side to think ahead for these things, because like bots are going to bot. You're going to do that no matter what chain you're on. And you got to,
especially when the incentives are there.
Yeah, it's all game theory. So you have to have rules or caps or some sort of breaks on that kind of stuff to not just hold them off, but if in the best case, actually build them into your system so that they can flourish and everybody can play to win. And if that makes sense, like you definitely don't want to be crashing the network and see the game get, like, humans can't compete. That's no fun.
And it seems like they've had some of their own just scalability issues, but I think just the fact that you're already in there is a good benefit versus like these bots are coming with the new games because it's fresh in their mind as well. So let's talk a little about the future now. Gotchiverse, this is what, we've already mentioned it a little bit, but let's get into Gotchiverse, about the mechanic of how it's starting, and how people can get involved.
Right. So the Gotchiverse it's going to be so wild, actually. Imagine like a 2D kind of Legend of Zelda Super Nintendo era, like top-down 2D, but like dipped in LSD or something, like microdosed maybe, not the full thing. And it's just very vivid, very colorful. This is a magical world like you saw in the cinema. That's our cinematic trailer, by the way. The gameplay is more top-down, more like what you'd expect for like an OG kind of retro game. And the biggest innovations are in two sides, I'd say. The first is actually the gameplay. The people I referenced coming in, the developers, we brought in people like the former CTO of CoinMarketCap. Him and his team are on our team now, and they're full-time building out scalability solutions so that we can have a metaverse that not just competes with the other virtual worlds you see out there, but like really sets a new standard on what's possible And what I'm talking about specifically is if you've been into Decentraland or any of these kind of worlds, there's always a very low cap on how many people can be on the same instance together. And what I mean is, like, you and me, we meet at whatever, we meet at the corner of X and Y. And for some reason, I don't see you, even though we're both there. The reason is I'm on one server, you're on another server. Right? So we're both there, we're both playing, but not together. And that always breaks the illusion of a real metaverse.
Right.
It's really underwhelming when that happens. And some of these caps are like less than 100, maybe a few hundred if you're lucky. And so we just set out from the beginning to find the most super team we could, the dream team, to build out and do something more like EVE Online. So if you're into MMORPGs, there's a very short list of games that can accomplish what we're trying to do here. And we're building an architecture from scratch that is literally bringing in north of 10,000 Aavegotchis interacting together in one instance. So it really is, we're all in this together. We're all going to make it. We're all on the same plane. That's going to be so cool to have. And it's from a social aspect, 10,000 different Aavegotchis running around together, interacting, competing, socializing. That's what we're building out. So right from the get-go, this is it looks naive and cute, but it's a very serious system that's being built behind it.
Yeah.
And proprietary. Yeah.
And I like how you describe it with the Zelda on LSD. I guess if you were to explain to people like who I don't want to say competitors would be in this scenario, but would you consider Decentraland the competitor, or more of these like games like a Treeverse coming from the Zelda idea, or like what are you trying to not replace but be your own metaverse where people hang out in, or is it more of game side?
So right now it's like, I don't even use the word competitor because it's such a growing pie. Like it's a brand new, this is mobile gaming at like pre-iPhone 1 or something, it's like so early. So we're all trying to succeed and grow this thing out. It's not like we're fighting over the pie. So in that sense, it's not really any competitors, but in another sense, I would say our peers, right? So our peers are like Axie Infinity. We look at them and their models and their success, and we take notes and see what we could improve on or come at from a different angle. And we can talk about the lending here in a little bit. That is our answer to their scholarship program. And I think it's going to be absolutely huge for unlocking how you can maintain the scarcity of an NFT while also like allowing anybody to play. And so there's a lot of, but I definitely look at what Jihaz and Axie Infinity's team has done. Love crypto voxels, spent a lot of time there. They definitely informed us early on of what a metaverse could be, should be. And so it's more like favorites and peers in the space than competitors.
Cool. Yeah, and I know that like a lot of people are looking for that game that's going to come out as basically the winner in the space. And I think people came into 2022 really expecting NFT games and these play to earn games as being a lot bigger than they sort of have turned out to be. But I think part of that is a lot of people don't realize how long it takes to create games. And that's where you guys have been around a little longer than others, which I think is pretty useful. So how far away do you envision this to be playable for users?
Yeah, so you're totally spot on with that. Like games take a long time, and you're used to seeing delays in the real world, but it's tougher when you maybe have a token or there's blockchain elements, and people are like, you can't delay this 6 months. You can't do that. So it's tricky. And in our case, we've been really lucky because we didn't rush it out, and we try not to overpromise. We always try to overdeliver. And so we're also like shipping extremely transparently. So the reason we have like a true Aavegotchi protocol with all these different layers on the cake is because they kind of come from feedback from the community time and time again. It's very organic. And what you end up with when you're not rushing things is a beautiful product at the end. It's always better to go slow and thoughtfully than to rush into things. And so we've never felt rushed. But with the Gotchiverse, we want to stick to our Q1 release date. So we're literally launching March 31st. And we're just getting in there. And And it's fine because we've always done things very iteratively where, it's not the final product. It's going to launch on the 31st as the Gotchiverse Alpha. And what we're calling this is it's kind of the bare bones, minimal viable game. And it's also a way to how like a new project launches in crypto and they'll do like an airdrop or like Ape, they'll just do a big splash, like shoot the whole thing just goes live on 10 big exchanges at once. And you just hope and pray and see what happens. In our case, we have 4 new tokens coming out with this Gotchiverse that are play to earn. So they're the raw elements of this world. And they're all ERC20 tokens. And we're doing it super, super fair launch where it's called not an airdrop, it's called a play drop. So this is kind of the new, like if you take one thing away from this is the play drop is our answer to fair distribution. And when we launch March 31, you're participating in the play drop. And what I mean by that is all you got to do is log in, play the game, pick up some Alchemica tokens, these 4 different Alchemica tokens, exit them to your wallet, come back tomorrow, play some more, and watch the features come in week after week. We have our dev team has a bunch of sprints lined up now through summer that get us to crafting and all sorts of like more RPG type of gameplay, melee battles, traits for your weapons, all those kind of things. But when it launches on March 31st, you're basically arriving in the Gotchiverse, and it's almost like a glorified Pac-Man. I mean, it's really like a giant Easter egg hunt. We've got Easter coming up, right? So you're like running around with your buddies looking for these Alchemica, and you need them because when crafting goes live, you use combinations of these 4 to enter a crafting table and start crafting NFTs. And these are really rare NFTs. You can't mint them somewhere. You have to craft them. And so play drop, is instead of a pre-sale, instead of anything like that, just show up and play the game early. And you're literally at the ground floor. There's no VCs. There's no kind of pre-allocations or founders allocation. There's none of that. I have to play right alongside you, and we have to all try to scoop up some Alchemica together.
Yeah, cool. So let's get a little into how someone can get involved if they aren't already involved in Aavegotchi. So you had mentioned the lending. On the 31st, are there maybe new NFTs that people can buy, or are there ways that if you don't already own Aavegotchi or any of the coins to be able to participate?
Yeah, 2 things. You just reminded me of one I'm not allowed to answer completely.
Okay.
When you asked, are there going to be new NFTs? There is an unannounced, very special NFT that's coming up that is going to be limited edition. And I can't say much more than that. But if you're playing during that first month, you might be able to craft a few of those. And if you're lucky, maybe just one. And so, there's going to be a reason to get these Alchemica and immediately put them to use. I wish I could say more.
Okay.
And then,
but someone can participate without already having it. Right.
Right. So you're listening right now. You're like, I don't own an Aavegotchi.
Yeah.
I'm out. Right. No, then instead of the scholarship program where you have like a bureaucratic layer, blah, 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 we're just going to have Aavegotchi.com. You're going to go there on actually a few days before the game launches. March 28th, you can go get familiar with this. On March 28th, you'll go to Aavegotchi.com, connect your wallet, and you'll see Gotchi lending, 2 little Gotchis shaking hands. If you click on that, that is our new smart contracts we're deploying, which is our answer to the scholarship program. So you're literally like able to imagine Uber, but for NFTs. Like you just go and you're like, I need an Aavegotchi for the next 2 hours. And you go through the list and they have different durations. Like maybe you're lending yours out for a 2-hour duration. I click on yours, costs me nothing up front, just a transaction fee. And boom, it's in my wallet for the next 2 hours to go play to earn, get that Alchemica, do whatever I want to do. So actually, if you want, it might be better to visualize this. I could show you like a bit of the game. I don't know. Yeah, right here. So this is if you own an Aavegotchi, this is what you see. So you're on that side of the deal. You go into your Aavegotchi dashboard, you choose your Gotchi, you click the lend button, and now you have some inputs to choose. So you're saying, look, I want to lend out Maddie. I'm going to do, let's say, here, let me start it from the top here. So yeah, you're going to do 0 upfront cost. I don't want to charge anybody. I'm going to do 100 hours. and I'm going to do a whitelist. Let's see, did we do a whitelist here? Let me go back a bit. Okay, and then step 2 here, this is really interesting. You get to choose the split. So let's say this guy goes in for 100 hours, plays the game. He gets 100 Alchemica tokens. You can choose how many of those will go back to the owner's wallet, the borrower's wallet, or to even a third wallet, aka probably your guild. So you may have a treasury with your guild. You can literally streamline that without even having to think about it. So this will
That's
also,
the third party wallet on
yeah,
this screen. Yeah.
it could be whatever wallet you want. Mostly it's designed for guilds so that they can lend to their team members. So like YPG can be like, here you go, go play and just send 10% back to YGG. Thanks. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Especially if you're, if you're part of a team and say you're, I mean, not to use this term, but like an influencer, say you have more followers or more Aavegotchi, you're like more known, I guess, then people want you on their guild because you can say, maybe your 1% is a lot higher than someone else's 5%.
Right. Well, initially it's just, we're all playing on equal footing, but you're right.
Yeah. Eventually, over time, I'm sure.
There'll be like what we call celebrity Aavegotchis. They have the strongest traits, the best weapons. Those are the ones that probably the owner will probably put a little upfront cost of ghost tokens. They'll say, all right, you got to get 10 ghost, then you can go play with them. And we'll still do a split. But for your average Aavegotchi, nothing up front. Let's just put my gotchi to work while I'm sleeping. That's what I want. So he's literally working for the owner by being picked up and played all the time. And again, it's like the bots can't do this. So we don't have that bot problem. It's all human players that want to run around and pick up these Alchemica. So here I'll play
the competition of, you don't, like you mentioned, you don't want to be charging people when everyone else isn't. And then they're going to choose the people that charge less,
It's total free market, whatever people want. Some people will want to have longer duration. Like I need to borrow it for two weeks. I don't know why. But I think my guess is most people will want to do short durations and try out different Aavegotchis with different terms. And I want to pick it up for an hour and play and then go pick up another one. So that kind of thing. And so, if you keep going here, it's really, the interface is super, I think, user-friendly. You can, okay, we actually went back here. So you can actually choose which tokens to share. You don't have to share all 4 Alchemica. Now he's going to update here. We're going to say, all right, 50% to the borrower, 10% to other. Who is other? Input the address. Let's go to the next step and create the listing. And so you got that kind of visual indicator. We're doing 40, 50, 10. We're doing FUD, FOMO, and KEK. We're not sharing alpha token. So for whatever reason, maybe I really like alpha, I'm not going to share it. And then we're going to confirm the listing. This is an on-chain transaction. Next thing you know, he's on the list, and users will be able to do filters and search for what they want. So they'll be like, whatever it may be. So that's kind of the flow for creating a listing, and we're super excited about it. So
and this is all on Polygon.
These transactions, absolutely.
So very low transaction fees, but people will be paying with Ethereum for the gas, correct? You're earning other tokens.
When you're on Polygon, you just need Matic token. So you'll need literally, it's going to be like 5 cents to execute a transaction, maybe a penny. All you need, if you don't have any ghost token, you don't have any Aavegotchi, you can still go to Gotchi lending. And if you just have 0.001 Matic, you're in business. You can execute the transaction, get that Gotchi. And on the 31st, you'll hop into the Gotchiverse and start playing to earn. Literally, basically Pac-Man, running around picking up Alchemica.
Yeah. And that's what's really cool about this sort of model is, I could play as you mentioned before, I could play the game during the day and then run this for 8 hours overnight, or 12 hours, and I wake up and all of a sudden it's like noon, I forgot about it. That's what some of these other games I've had the issue with, at least recently. It's like if you don't wake up and immediately start checking on your quests or whatever, then you've missed out. So that's the cool part of this, where you can sort of lend the play of it. So now in this scenario, you had 100 hours.
Mhm.
Um, is that locked? That like my Aavegotchi, if I lend it for that 100 hours, like I can't list it on OpenSea or anything like that during that time, correct?
Yeah, during that time, you could still pet it. We actually have a pet feature. If you go to Aavegotchi.com, click on tools, other community members have built auto petters. So there's actually a way with the smart contract where you can still do some interactions without giving up full ownership of your NFT. And that's precisely why you're able to do what we're doing here, where you don't have to lose sleep worrying that the person is going to run away with your NFT. They literally can't. There's a clawback clause at the time of the expiration of those 100 hours, your Aavegotchi is coming back to you in every way, shape, and form. So it's super secure and it's pretty much foolproof. The only thing is, yeah, you wouldn't go listing it on an exchange at that time. But why would you? Because you're literally playing to earn in your sleep. So
Yeah.
you you could do that later when you wake up, I suppose. And for the most part, although we do OpenSea on Polygon, the great majority of Aavegotchis invite you to check out aavegotchi.com/bazaar, BAAZZAAR. That's our NFT marketplace, and it's just like the name suggests. It's like a wild, kind of city market for all Aavegotchi wearables and NFTs.
That's a good point. Yeah, so you have your own marketplace in order to do that, which I'd assume, doing it through OpenSea, you have to pay the OpenSea fee as well. So this is all done pretty simply, all in the same place is the beauty of this. And
Yeah,
then do you this is a maybe somewhat of a weird question, but do you get to watch the actual events that are happening, or do you click the button, you come back when it's over to sort of collect, or do you see any sort of like
right.
imagery?
So you can't follow that person with your gacha yet. I've had that feature request quite a bit. I mean, to do that, there's a lot of logic that has to be programmed in, and
Yeah.
we're 10,000 gachis running all the time. So we'll see. But initially, what you can do is you can always go to your Gotchi dashboard. And let's say I own 6 Aavegotchis. 5 of them I have not lent out. The sixth one I lent out is still there, but it has a little lending icon next to it. So I'm able to just click on that and see the status of how much he's earned. So it'll come
Mm.
up, it'll say like, here's the FUD, FOMO, Alpha, KEK tokens and their balances in the Gotchi's pocket. Because again, it's a piggy bank. So the rewards are going into that pocket. And I can see that in real time adding up. And then I can, at any point, I can click claim reward and
Okay.
empty that pocket. I don't have to wait till the 100 hours expire. I can claim that all day, every day if I want.
Now, with the 100 hours sort of going off of that point, if you post this for 100, could someone take 50 and another person take 50 of that time frame? Or is that not?
No, once one person borrows your gachi, it's only one at a time. So
Okay.
100 is kind of a weird example. Like I said, I would probably start out by just lending it for a couple hours. And one reason would be you want to make sure whoever borrows it is actually going to play the game and play it well. So things that are coming down the pipeline are things like not a credit or kind of a review, like this guy's a good player, some way to identify this guy's a great player. I only want to lend to players that really play the game well, that kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
initially, you can do that from the start by forming or joining a guild. So, guilds, they can have their own kind of quality control of who their members are, right? And so there's a whitelisting feature where when I create this listing, you see how it says whitelist ID
Yeah.
optional? Basically, you can lend globally and just say anybody, anywhere, go ahead and play with this Aavegotchi. Or you can say, no, I only want people on this list, on this ID list, to have access to rent this. And that's where the quality control comes in. You say, only we have so many guilds that are ready to start on day one. We've got, I think, about 15 of them that have planted their flag in the Gotchiverse already and are super ready to go. So if you're in CGU, if you're in Blackpool, YGG, Meta Guild, any of these, they're for sure, no doubt, going to be putting whitelists and only lending to their members.
Okay. So it's sort of like both sides of it where you have to, in a sense, prove that you're a worthy borrower at the same time. So
Yeah.
like the give and take. It'd be cool, and I'm assuming that's part of the whitelist side. But if you had like a like a borrower score or something like that? Like if both sides of it had the score, because obviously on this side, like the Aavegotchi itself has XP, kinship, like there's stats to it. It'd be
Yep.
kind of cool. Right now it seems like the whitelist part does it, because I assume you're not just going to add anyone to your guild. So
Right.
how could someone end up in a guild? Is this something specifically people in the Discord are always looking for guilds? Are there a max number of people in guilds? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, there's no max on these whitelists. You could have theoretically as many addresses as you want. So if you're someone like YGG with thousands of members, they can literally input and create there's a whitelist feature. You just create a card. And so that card would have, say, 5,000 different members in it, or maybe more. And then that's, if they choose to, that's who they're lending to. You can join, every guild has different onboarding mechanisms. Some of them are on Aavegotchi.com right now. If you scroll down on the landing page, you get to the bottom. We have a few of the partners listed there, but honestly, there's so many great ones that I really, we should just like list them everywhere in our Discord and everywhere. But yeah, check out, I mean, all the play to earn kind of the best guilds. We've reached out to all of them and had conversations since last Christmas. So they've seen this coming. They actually had input on what this on-chain lending should look like. I mean, we went to them and said, look, we know what we want to do. We want to take it on chain and make it trustless. We want to eliminate that bureaucratic layer. But when we get into the granular like design choices, we want you to be a part of it. So yeah, we've had great input from the guilds directly, and that's why I think it's gonna work so well for them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you should join some guilds. Like Aavegotchi has not only the outside guilds that are coming in, like ones that are already involved in Axie and other games, but there's so many organic guilds starting within Aavegotchi's community. So there's like Gotchi Farmy, there's the Portal Mage Guild. All of this is kind of accessible through our Discord or Twitter, and you can meet a lot of up and coming guilds that I predict some of them are going to be breakout monsters over the next 6 months. The next YGG is in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw on your website that you guys are connected to YGG. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're one of our earliest partners on this. When we proposed Gotchi lending, we took it to them. I mean, they were legit excited, and so we've been working together with them, getting feedback from them. Gabby's had a tour. I mean, we're definitely. They have a partner parcel in the Citadel, so inside the Gotchiverse, there's a YGG space. They kind of dominate one of the districts, and it's all DAOs and it's all guilds, and it's really really cool.
Yeah. And as far as like people that are listening now, it's about 2 weeks from now that the 3/31 launch date. Would you recommend that they try to maybe pick up an Aavegotchi or two, maybe just play around on the site? What can they do currently to sort of prepare for that launch date?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're in the middle of a rarity farming season right now. So those seasons distribute millions of dollars worth of ghosts over an 8-week period. We're in season 3. And so if you were to own an Aavegotchi now, every 2 weeks we have a round and it airdrops ghosts. So literally you'd be getting some of your ghost back right away, because everything in the Aavegotchi.com, the bazaar marketplace, everything is denominated in ghost token. So you would be getting some of that ghost back right away by just having one right now. And then if you want to be on the lending side and you want to sleep while your Gotchi works, then probably a good time to get a Gotchi, because I feel like we're still slightly under the radar with this. On the other side, you're like, the floor on a Gotchi is roughly $1,000, about 400 or 500 ghost. So if that's not you're not in a position to do that right now, luckily that's where the lending comes in. March 28, you can get familiar and become an expert on the lending UI. And then when the game launches, I mean, you can be there day one, borrowing a Gotchi and getting some of this Alchemica with the, what do we call it? The play drop. So yeah, just participate in the play drop, 30 days of basically jumping in, grabbing that Alchemica, and then doing the pie chart split with you and the owner.
Yeah. And one thing, we don't have to get too into it because I feel like you could do an entire another stream on the DeFi side of it. But you guys are planning on having a DEX and the
Yeah.
staking ability. So people can also just in general buy some ghost token or farm it a little bit, and that's powered by Aave. Is that correct? But through
So,
your site.
so the Aave part is to bring a gotchi to life, a brand new Aavegotchi. You have to basically you open a portal. You see 10 randomly generated Aavegotchis. The hook is you only get to keep one, and the other 9 poof disappear as metadata. And then to bring that one to life, when you choose the one you like, you have to deposit some Aave token. And that's why their foreheads all have different icons on them. Say of the 10, you see one you like that is wrapped BTC, wrapped Bitcoin. So you're like, I want a Bitcoin themed Aavegotchi. To bring it to life, you have to like deposit some wrapped BTC into it, just a little bit. But that's how it literally, we call it the spirit force. It comes to life that way. And so that's the Aave DeFi aspect. The staking has been live for about a year, and it's also a very popular part of our ecosystem. We wrote those contracts and deployed them. That's how a lot of people participate in the beginning. They just get some Ghost, go to Aavegotchi.com, click on the little staking guy, little hard hat wearing Aavegotchi, and they stake their stuff, and you get 1 friend point per Ghost per day. So break it down. If you have 100 Ghosts, you're getting 100 friends points per day. These are like loyalty points. You're able to cash those in for rare NFT tickets. And then once a quarter, roughly, we do a distribution of new wearables for your Aavegotchis. These are also NFTs. And we don't sell them. You can't get them with money. You have to get lucky. You have to participate in the raffle with those tickets. And so there's 2 ways for an oncomer to play. You can either get some tickets and participate in the raffle. You might strike lucky and win something, but you might not. The other way is, and we have a lot of people that like to do this, is they farm the NFT tickets by staking 100 Ghost or whatever, and then they go to the Bazaar marketplace and you can sell those tickets to the whales. And the whales are happy to take them because they want to get those rare NFTs. Yeah. And then you compound that. You just get the Ghost, you restake it, and it's one of the best APRs. It's like the best secret for getting a great like return or yield on a token that's out there today. Like it's like I saw somebody run numbers. It's like 35 to 45% on any given week. It's crazy.
Just from staking it, not the liquidity pool side.
No, just Aavegotchi staking it. It's a single side stake. There's no risk of all that kind of impermanent loss and stuff. Just parking it, getting some friends points, and cashing them in and doing it again, and it just compounds. So yeah, it's pretty powerful. Staking is a great way to just get involved early because we joke that Ghost is almost like a stable coin. It goes up, but it's less volatile than most because of that bonding curve. And whenever the market has a big red day, it also crashes a lot slower too. So it's just like, once you understand Ghost and its potential, to know it is to love it, basically.
Yeah. And as the, as we call them, like the token sinks and just utility of it, where the whole marketplace is being, you buy and sell with the Ghost tokens. So there's like not really as much of a reason to pull out the liquidity that you have of it and put it into other tokens, because if you want to be participating in the Aave, well, as we're calling it now, the Gotchiverse, then you basically are going to need those tokens. So there's not as much of a reason to have a massive sell-off like some of these other tokens we see in different cases.
Right. It's not diamond hands because you're just a nice guy. It's diamond hands because I don't want to lose my 40% APY and I want to win some NFTs down the road, something like that. So yeah, it's pretty powerful. And like I said, it's layers on a cake that have organically, slowly developed over the course of a year and a half. So we have some big brains in the community that are not on Pixelcraft, that are always contributing. I didn't emphasize enough in this talk, I think, that we're a DAO and we're one of the most active DAOs in the world. And that's because we're not like a DAO that's governing some boring DeFi protocol, right? Like a bank. That's boring. We're literally building a game together. If you've ever dreamed of being a game designer, they have so much direct input on everything we're doing. We go to blog.aavegotchi.com, and every month we've been publishing not a white paper, but like we call it the Gotchi Bible, a new chapter, because it's a design document that the game designers and developers are building out in real time. we put forward what we're looking to do with traits for your weapons or tokenomics or whatever it may be. And the DAO has to approve these chapters. They read it, they give feedback, and then they approve it or make adjustments. And so you're literally having direct impact on what this metaverse game is going to be. And so, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then, is there anything we missed before again into maybe something else? I think we covered a good amount of what we were planning to talk about.
Oh yeah, I think we could keep going, but I think that's about it. Though you mentioned DeFi, and the other DeFi aspect we're introducing with the Gotchiverse is kind of with the land. So we've had 2 land distributions so far, and we follow the Pareto principle. 80% gets out in a bid to earn auction, which is also a blast. And then the last 20% is via those raffles we just talked about. So not only are you winning wearables or Aavegotchis, you're actually winning land in the metaverse. And the difference with our land versus maybe any other metaverse right now is we want to have a DeFi aspect. So if you get a piece of land, we have 3 sizes. Let's say you get a humble piece of Gotchiverse land. Right now you own it. The game hasn't gone live yet. You're not quite sure what is inside your land, but it is also a piggy bank. So instead of a Gotchi that holds coins, you have to put in coins to bring the Gotchi to life. The land is more like oil under the ground. It already has tokens inside. All 4 Alchemica tokens are inside that land, waiting for you to do a literally like oil survey where you engage the Chainlink random number generator. And once the game goes live, you go in, you drill down, and you find out how many tokens are inside waiting for you to farm. And that's where the Clash of Clans gameplay will come in about a month from now, where you're actually going to be building different harvesters and upgrading them and reinvesting and literally extracting these tokens from your parcel. So this is a piggy bank you have in the form of land, and we're all waiting to see what we have inside the land. Some will be above average, some will be below average, and there's a lot of research out there showing like kind of what you can expect, the kind of range. So it's going to be a lot of fun, that whole aspect.
Yeah, I joke with some of my friends at times where like people love land, especially in like the NFT world, because there's so much like potential that you could do with it. I know a lot of these different games have allowed you to like put your own NFTs in there. Some of them you earn based on people just visiting your land or using stuff in there. So I'd assume people within the same guilds probably want land near each other, and there's a whole nother layer of sort of the game theory there.
Yeah, if anyone's curious to learn more about that, I'd just say we have a second website dedicated to the land distributions, and that's gotchiverse.io. You go take a look there. It's if you've ever like shopped for real estate or whatever on the Zillow or whatever favorite real estate app you have, it's also Zillow dipped in acid. So you get to fly around the map and use the legend to figure out different types of parcels, and you see the districts. And so the Citadel is like the safe farming zone. There's no enemies there. Later, there will be outside of it. And inside there, you're just a peaceful farmer, like you saw in the cinematic video. And you want to be able to get your guild together in one district, because each district actually is like a micro DAO, a mini DAO, a sub DAO, whatever you want to call it. You're actually able to have some treasury and influence the like naming the roads, changing the street lamps, what aesthetic you want your district, your part of the Citadel to be. You'll have that control with your neighbors. So it's very social, and there's on-chain consequences for who your neighbors are.
Yeah, and that's always a cool part of these virtual worlds. So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up playing out with as far as like the battles in there and whatnot. So cool. Well, yeah, I appreciate you hopping on. I know this has been something we've had back and forth for a little bit now. We've been trying to get you guys on before that March 31st date. So people are watching. We're putting this out basically a week before, so that you have plenty of time to prepare if you're interested in participating. Is there anything else that you wanted to plug while you're here? Maybe following on Twitter or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, just this is great alpha. You've kind of brought your audience in early. If they want to do the play drop, they can literally join us with lending. So just Aavegotchi.com, connect your wallet, learn how to get a bit on Polygon if you're not already a Polygon user. There's plenty of bridges. We have a bridge on our website ready to support you, and enjoy.
Cool. Well, um, it was a good show. I think we were able to cover a lot as far as from the Aavegotchi side. So if you're listening and interested, March 31st is going to be the big day. You can get in on the Aavegotchi, the Gotchiverse, and the lending. As mentioned before, you don't necessarily have to buy an Aavegotchi to participate, but over the next week or so, check out the website and see what type of things you can do in there. So we'll be
In our
back
Discord if you have any
next week.
questions.
Oh
It's
yeah, Discord as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I can link the Discord in the show notes as well. Can put some links down below if people are interested as well. I'll put them in there. And yeah, so March 31st, keep your eye out for Aavegotchi, and we'll see you guys next time.